Hey, Congressman Byron Donalds joins us once again, Republican from Florida, Southwest Florida, the 19th district down there. Congressman Donalds, welcome back to Newsmax. How are you?
Oh, it's good to be back with you. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, listen, I thought after January 6th, the one-year anniversary, there would be some moving on. Congress, the media would just focus on other issues. Yeah, all day yesterday, especially on those Sunday talk shows, January 6th, how do we stop Trump? You're in the middle of it all. Are they ever going to let this one go? I want answers, but they're not looking for the same answers I'm looking for. Is January 6th just always in your face down there?
Actually, here on Capitol Hill, they talk about it, not really to us. They're really talking to media about it, and they're talking to other Democrats about it. But they don't really talk about it too much here. Every now and again, it'll come up on the floor or in the committee. But look, the reality is this. They have to talk about this because they have nothing else. Their entire agenda is a disaster. They have failed the American people at every turn. I mean, pick a policy, pick a sector of our country, pick a sector of our economy. Where have they been successful? Oh, guess what? They haven't been. I mean, listen, the Detroit Lions got a better record than these guys, okay? It's been awful. And so this is what they have to go to. Unfortunately, we're going to have to just listen to their nonsense, listen to the rhetoric, and the American people are going to do the right thing. They're going to send Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats packing. We'll take back the House, we'll take back the Senate, and then we'll move on from there.
Congressman, I just started following you on social media, and I noticed that, you use it responsibly. You're not addicted to it. You put out a couple of things a day, catch me here. You make some political observations. You don't live your life on social media, unlike a lot of Democrats and even a few Republicans, and that's fine. My question is, does their attachment to this, to seeing their name on Twitter and to getting the likes, getting the follow, all that stuff, is that screwing up legislative affairs down there? From the outside looking in, it seems like it might.
It does some, because what happens is that you have members who are more concerned about what popped up, on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, or Getter or something like that. Oh, I mean, look, the Democrats aren't on Getter. That's just they don't even like it. Okay, but they're more busy, more concerned about what somebody said on social media than actual policy, actual agendas here. And I think the thing that's much more important is that they would rather push narratives through social media than actually take the time and legislate through regular order. But what the Democrats do on Capitol Hill is they just have Nancy Pelosi push bills out from her office. They don't go through committees. It just winds up on the floor, and members of Congress have to vote up or down on it. If the Democrats really want to do their jobs appropriately and effectively, what they'll do is run these bills through the committee process, actually have debate, have questions. Let's really figure out if the policy makes sense or not. But they don't want to do that. It's much easier to throw out narratives and innuendo and talking points in social media.
That would be great if they I heard once that these bills actually aren't read in much detail. Some of them are so long you can't read them. I'd like to bring H.R. 350 to your attention, the Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act of 2021. Some of this sounds fine. To authorize dedicated domestic terrorism offices within the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, and the FBI. Domestic terrorism. Nobody likes domestic terrorism. I would think an office could help. But it's all about white supremacists and neo-Nazis, finding them, getting them, studying them. If you really want to take on domestic terrorism, though, it might be coming from Antifa. It might be coming from elements of BLM. It's not just white supremacy. That's what disappoints me about this legislation. Are they talking about this, and what do you think?
I think it's just this bill is politically motivated. It makes no sense. First of all, the Department of Justice and the FBI have a lot of authority with respect to investigating domestic issues. They do it all the time. They can't violate the constitutional rights of American citizens, but as long as they can find probable cause and they have a judge sign off on whatever they want to do from a warrant standpoint, from a wiretapping standpoint, they actually have a lot of ability to investigate. This bill doesn't need to happen at all. And the last thing we should ever do, and again, understand, domestic terrorism should never be tolerated. But the last thing we should never do is allow citizens to have their rights stripped from them and treat them like we would treat enemy combatants overseas or terrorists overseas. It's just not the same thing, not even in the same ballpark. But this bill is politically motivated because it gives the Democrats something to talk about.
A reminder, by the way, we talked about Nancy Pelosi a moment ago. I forget. She is a very, very rich woman. Look at this headline, please. This is Newsmax citing the New York Post. Something like, I believe, $30 million she made from trades in big tech companies recently. These are companies she oversees in Congress, $30 million. That would seem like it could be a conflict of interest. What do you think?
Oh, no, big time conflict of interest. I totally agree with you. Look, there's a reason why she snapped at reporters when reporters asked her if members of Congress should be trading stocks. The reality is members of Congress should not be trading stocks, period, whatsoever. We have access to far more information than the public does, way before the public does. And I'm not just saying that as a guy who's elected to Congress. I'm saying it as somebody who was a securities trader, who still has his licenses, 7 and 66. I'll lose them later this year. And I will tell you the level of information I have access to, I should not be trading my own positions. But here's what Nancy Pelosi does. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if she's actually pushing the button on these trades, but I'm quite sure her husband is. And this is the problem. You cannot have members of Congress and their families placing trades like this. If you want to have somebody else doing the trading on your behalf, somebody that you're not communicating with, that's all fine and well. I'm not saying members shouldn't hold positions at all, but members should not be actively trading. Their spouses should not be actively trading.
Congressman Byron Donalds, you can read about him, by the way, in this month's Newsmax magazine. Pretty nice profile on you, sir, and some other superstars. Byron Donalds, we appreciate it once again. Republican of Southwest Florida in Congress. Thank you, sir.
No, thank you, Greg. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. We'll be right back.